is Jodi. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to show you how to make a quick and creative masculine card using the stamp set, the Open C, as well as this circle card thinlet. So we're going to make a card that flips in the center. All of these other pieces come with this framelits package, and I'm going to pull this one out too to use on the card. So I'll set the other stuff aside. My cardstock that I'm using today is just a regular 8.5 by 5.5, so half of the 8.5 by 11 sheet. And what's great about it is that even though this card has movement, it still only requires a half a sheet, so I can still get 2 out of each of my 8.5 by 11 pieces. I'm going to pull in my Big Shot, move some things around here. When I use thinlits or framelits, I like to use my magnetic platform. It helps keep things in place. So I'll set the magnetic platform down and then one of the cutting pads. Now, like I said, this does fit the 5.5, but it's a really tight fit. The framelit is exactly 5.5. So when you set it on here, you just need to make sure that you place the cardstock and then get your framelit exactly where you need it. And then go ahead and place the other cutting pad on top and crank it through. So now when I punch it out of here, I've got some places that are actually cut and others that are scored. So I'm just going to score on these lines, just fold, I mean, on those lines. And then I'm going to put my bone folder in and just fold right on those scored lines too, just to help it lay nicer. Okay, I'm going to move my Big Shot out of the way for just a moment. So now I'll take my card base that I have here, and you can see the motion of that there. And I'm going to pull in some stamps from the Open C stamp set. So this is the first one. I'm going to use crumb cake ink, and I want to stamp this part. Now, I want to make sure that I don't get it on the circle, so what I'm going to do is just set that scrap paper in there to cover up that area. And then I'll just ink this up and stamp right along here and ink it up again and just line up the bottom the best I can. It's not a big deal if they overlap a little bit. And then I can just pull that scrap out, and now I have it just on that side like I wanted. Another piece I'm going to use with the crumb cake ink is this little inker. So I'll ink that up and just crook it a little bit down here at the bottom. Okay, now the next part is what is the most fun, I think. I'm going to pull in a scrap of very vanilla cardstock, as well as my Island Indigo ink. When you give the ink pad a squeeze, you get some ink on the lid, which is then like a palette. And I'm going to take one of our aqua painters. This is just a barrel filled with water and a brush end here. It's like a very controlled paintbrush. So I'm going to pick up some of that ink and just back and forth across my scrap. Now I can squeeze a little water to blend the colors a little bit more, and I start light because I can always go back and add more color, but I don't want to start too dark and then be stuck with that. Just do a little bit more on here. I'm going to be punching out a 2.5 inch circle. So my goal here is just to kind of make sure that I have at least 2.5 inches worth of coloring on there. I think we're good. When you use your aqua painter, just swipe it. When it comes out clean like that, you can put it away or use it on another color. Okay, the next thing I'm going to pull in is this ship stamp, and I'm going to use with Early Espresso ink. Now what's fun about this is when I ink it up, I'm going to stamp right on here. This is still a little bit wet from the aqua painter, so it's not going to be a super crisp image. When I stamp it on here, it's going to bleed just a little bit into that water because this Early Espresso, our classic inks, are a water-based ink. So I like the way that looks a little bit, just kind of bleeding into it. Makes it bold, but not super defined. I'm going to slide this into my 2.5 inch circle punch and just center it the way I want it and pop it out. And then I'm going to take my snail adhesive and put some across the back. And because I used water, I don't want the paper to curl up on any of the ends, and that's why I go over pretty much the entire back of the circle. And I'm just going to set it right on there. It's really nice that the 2.5-inch circle lines up and gives you that nice border around there. So now it flips like this. The last thing I'm going to do is pull in another scrap of vanilla and use my early espresso ink and this little stamp that says Happy Birthday Wishes, and just stamp that down here. And then I'm going to use one more framelit, this little one, that came in that package. So let me pull my Big Shot in one more time. Set it down here, line up the framelit right over the greeting, and slide the other, let me pull it out a little bit, put back where I want it. Set the other cutting pad on top and then just crank this one through quickly. So this then will just go on the back side here. I'm going to attach it a little bit higher than center, and then that way there'll still be room to write your name down here to say that the card is from you. So a nice flip card like this. It's always fun to make a quick and creative masculine card, and this little simple technique with the aqua painter just really sets this card off. Thanks so much for watching. For daily creative inspiration, visit my blog or find me on Facebook at Jodi Reinert Stamps.